Talk again about some more craziness in the United States. The closing arguments have now happened into the person whom police believe is ultimately responsible for the death of George Floyd. Now, I live in this crazy world where a court will decide whether he is guilty or not, or whether the prosecution has made the case that it is provable that there was either intent or negligence, you know, crazy stuff, right? But you know that there are people who, before this even started as a trial, well, they were going to riot unless this bloke got every possible version of guilty. And those riots have been happening all the way through the trial as a way of intimidating the jury, as a way of intimidating the witnesses. Remember I told you last night about how they turned up and put pig's blood all over a bloke's house who was a defence witness. Problem was, he'd moved and it was somebody else's house that they were doing. Well, one of the absolute nutters of American politics is a Sheila called Maxine Waters. She's been out of her tree for longer than there have been trees in her part of California. She was the one who said that, of course, you must go and threaten all members of the Trump administration from the second he became president, the one who thought that he should be impeached from the minute before he was able to become president. And here she is helping the situation that is this sensitive in Minnesota today.
What should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
What does that mean? Oh, and by the way, you'll love this detail. The person who's so bravely standing there, egging everyone on to get as rough as possible, she asked for a special police escort to the place where she just gave that press conference and after she left it, while simultaneously, of course, shit-canning the police at every way she possibly can. Has this person been told to pull their head in by her boss, Nancy Pelosi? Well, of course not. Here's what the Speaker of the House had to say and the leader of the Democrats. Maxine talked about confrontation in the manner of civil rights movement. Is that what you just heard? In fact, can we play that grab one more time? Because after I finish reading this, I want you to listen to what she said. Maxine talked about confrontation in the manner of the civil rights movement. I think myself that we should take our lead from the George Floyd family. They've handled this with great dignity and no ambiguity or lack of misrepresentation by the other side. Here's the point. You either believe in the rule of law, you believe that the place for justice to take place is in a courtroom, or you're all in for the mob. But a mob that you want police escorts to walk in and out of? Does this sound like civil rights to you?
What should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
And good on the judge in this case, because who knows what's going to happen here? Who knows what sentence is going to be handed out if there are verdicts of guilty? But the judge called this out, saying, hang on, you're part of the system. You're supposed to be the adult in the room who knows. The only place where justice can be handed out in our country is in the court of which I am presiding. How's this for clarity in an insane situation?
This goes back to what I've been saying from the beginning. I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case, especially in a manner that is disrespectful to the rule of law and to the judicial branch and our function. I think if they want to give their opinions, they should do so in a respectful and in a manner that is consistent with their oath to the Constitution, to respect a co-equal branch of government. Their failure to do so, I think, is abhorrent.
So how was this interpreted by the mainstream media in the United States?
Something extraordinary happened after the jury left to deliberate. The judge lashing out at a U.S. congresswoman, even mentioning the possibility that a verdict could be overturned in the future. Explain what happened.
Wow, it was something. California Democrat Maxine Waters was with protesters in Brooklyn Center this weekend, and she said, I hope we get a verdict that's guilty, guilty, guilty. If we don't, we have to get more confrontational. The judge called that disrespectful to the rule of law, and in a surprising move, openly told the defense the comments could open the door to an appeal if Derek Chauvin is convicted, and then have the whole trial overturned. Nora?
She's the victim! She's the victim, Mark Latham. This is the nuttiness on show. Good on that judge for holding the line, though.
Well, I think it's a statement of fact that if there's an attempt to intimidate the court, it's grounds for appeal.
Yep.
So if you want to see this fellow convicted, the dumbest thing you can do is set up an environment where his lawyers can say in the future he wasn't given a fair trial because of the obvious pressure and intimidation that was on the court. So, you know, it's counterproductive. Maxine Waters, what a deal.
Well, out of a tree on this stuff.